So last night, Knicks rookie Immanuel Quickley tells Clippers vet Lou Williams, "You're one of my favorite players. Perk, I know how much you love giving people their flowers." How cool was this moment?
When this race.
What do you got, Zach?
Look, Immanuel Quickley's making all those floaters and runners just like prime Lou Will. I love it. Give Lou Will. Lou Will is a legend. He's a legend. Give him his respect.
Lemon
Give him his
pepper
flowers,
Lou, baby.
like Perk would say.
Exactly. Boom. Perk signal's going out. We will get him back in a moment. But welcome to The Jump. I am Rachel Nichols, alongside Indeed, the host of the Low Post podcast, Zach Lowe. I can't do the pause like you do, Zach. No one Zach Lowe. That's really the answer to this. Coming up, we're going to talk about Nikola Jokic dropping a career-high, tying 47 points last night against the Jazz, snapping their 11-game win streak. Did Jokic's performance change the MVP race? We will discuss. First, though, there are very few things you can count on in the NBA, but here's one. When a team is up by 5 or more with 10 seconds to go, they usually win. And when I say usually, I don't mean like 2/3 of the time or 3/4 of the time. I mean that over the past 25 years, there have been more than 23,000 times teams have been in that position. And in all but 9, the team that's ahead has gone on to win. That is an insane stat. You know, you could drink a cup of coffee every single morning, 365 days a year. And after 60 years, you still would not hit 23,000. All of which makes what happened this weekend all the more absolutely bananas. First in Chicago on Saturday night, it was the Bulls who were up by 5 with 10 seconds to go. And Dame Lillard hits this 37-footer, which is incredible. But at that point, the Bulls still should have gone on to win the game. They've got possession with 8.9 on the clock, except then Zach LaVine gets tied up in the corner. And then it becomes a jump ball, which finds its way to Dame, who hits this off-balance step-back fadeaway three over 7-foot-tall Larry Markkinen. And I'm sorry, what? I know we are all used to Dame time in the clutch, and I know we are used to Lillard being able to hit it from anywhere, but come on. This was just ridiculous. Here's how his teammates greeted him afterward, and even Lillard himself recognized this was different.
In these situations where, we down 5, I think, with 11 seconds left, those are the moments where the winning team thinks that, they got the game pretty much wrapped up, and the opposing team is discouraged. But, this is one of those ambitious moments that, that never happened. It never comes to life, but, this time it did. So I think because of that, this is going to be a special one.
Yeah, just nuts. But little did we know, we were going to watch it happen again less than 24 hours later. This time in Brooklyn, where the Nets appeared to be comfortably cruising. First half went up 18. But then Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook went to work, combining for 37 points in the fourth quarter alone, with Russ in particular looking more comfortable than he's been all season, putting up a 41-10-8 line. And yet, even after the Wizards closed the gap, the Nets were still up by, 5 with 10 seconds to go, the same position that more than 23,000 times teams had gone on to win it. Except once again, the math flew out the window. First, it was Beal sprinting up court for this three. Just money. Then when Joe Harris tries to inbound, doesn't go well. KD goes to a different spot than Harris is expecting. Garrison Matthews comes up with a steal out to Westbrook, who hits another three with 4.3 on the clock. Washington then goes on to win a game that Coach Scott Brooks called, quote, the craziest finish he's seen in his 28 years in the NBA. Here were the Nets afterward.
We had that game. It should have been ours. So, we just look at ourselves in the mirror and just see where we can correct as individuals and as a group, just especially on the effort. I couldn't guard a stick today. Those guys were just going right around me. And, I was getting frustrated a little bit.
Maybe we thought we had it in the bag, but, too many times we let them waltz right down the lane and get layups. I think we just let our foot off the gas, thought we were going to win, and that's a dangerous game to play.
Certainly, Brooklyn needs to figure it out on defense. In the 9 games since the Nets made the Harden trade, opponents have scored 123 points or more 7 of those 9 times. But if I'm the Nets or the Bulls, I wouldn't read too much into either of these games, considering just how rare the outcomes were. Just 9 times out of more than 23,500. Twice in one weekend. I'm going to need more coffee. So, Zach, what did Russ prove to you last night against the Nets?
First of all, props to the graphic department for the Ferris Bueller reference that nobody under 30 will get. I love it. Second of all, Russ proved he's still got something in the tank. And really, although he had been averaging almost a triple-double, his turnovers had spiked. He just hadn't looked good. He almost looked like he had the yips. He was losing his dribble so much. And the Wizards are going nowhere yet. They've been ravaged by the virus and the health and safety protocols. They've had half their team gone. Everyone's coming back. But they're not getting back into the play-in race unless they get peak Russell Westbrook. And one thing I did not expect at this point in the season was for the Rockets to have so handily won the John Wall-Russell Westbrook trade. But that Russ, the Russ that played last night, that changes the Wizards' season. That gives them a little bit of hope. And frankly, that maybe puts any Bradley Beal stuff on the back burner for a while, because that's something that could literally swing the championship picture.
And do you think, Zach, that this kind of Russell Westbrook is someone that we can see for the rest of the season with the Wizards? What changed for him here?
I mean, last night's performance is probably going to be an outlier in terms of its shooting efficiency, the three-point shooting efficiency, all of that. But there's a big, big gap between that guy and the guy who had played the first 12, 15 games, whatever, of the season. If we can meet somewhere in the middle and Russ can just become a steady presence, something like not quite what he was even the last. People forget the last 30 games before the bubble with the Rockets. He was on fire. He was averaging 30 a game, living at the rim. If we can get closer to that guy, the Wizards, if they get healthy, they have a really good offensive team, or at least a skeleton of one. They can get back into the play-in race. It has not gotten away from them.
And, you know, after that game, Zach, Scott Brooks said he was going to break out the White Claw. And, in fact, he said raspberry was his favorite flavor. I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, we've just got to be able to do better. I didn't even know what a White Claw was until I moved to the suburbs. And everyone in the suburbs, all my mom friends in the suburbs are all about the White Claw. We have to keep White Claw on hand in case we have visitors. Scotty Brooks, look, I love you, Scotty. Have a beer, have a real beer. Celebrate with a real beer. Pour it in a nice big glass. Unless he gets if he gets an endorsement deal out of this, I take it all back. If he becomes the face of White Claw beverages among middle-aged men, I take it all back.
Maybe this is just the beginning of something beautiful, Zach. We will see. All right, we're getting Kendrick Perkins back. So coming up after this break, we'll talk about Aaron. Welcome back to The Jump. Let's head out west, where the Nuggets snapped the Jazz's NBA best 11-game win streak last night in Denver. Nikola Jokic matching his career high 47 points. He also had 12 boards, 2 steals, 1 block. Oh, by the way, he went 4 for 4 from behind the arc. So Big Perk back with us. Did the Joker's performance Sunday change the MVP race at all?
Absolutely. Look, he jumps ahead of LeBron James. I think it's him and Joel Embiid MVP to be one right now. Look, I am just so happy that the big men are starting to dominate the league again, because for a minute they were going away, Rachel. And so when you look at what Joker is doing, this is a guy that is not athletic. This is a guy that don't run fast, don't move quick, but plays the pace of his game and gets the job done. And in my opinion, he's arguably one of the greatest skilled bigs to ever play the game. Greg Popovich said he's the modern day Larry Bird. And guess what? He told no lies.
It's a little exhausting to do the MVP update day after day after day. But even forget last game. Nikola Jokic right now is the MVP of this season. And yeah, last night did matter. They blew out basically a team that was on an 11-game winning streak that looked unbeatable. And what was amazing about that game, if you watched it, it looked so easy. I mean, he just put up the most effortless 35-point half I think I've ever seen. Raining jump shots, little hook shots. Rudy Gobert's on me. Okay, fake. Hook shot goes in. It was so easy for him to dominate a team that had been on fire. And he's been, I mean, I think he's the best passing big man in the history of the league, period. And I think he is the MVP right now. But this is going to be one of those seasons, I hope, like 2017 when Russ won, when we have like a nice 3-, 4-man, 5-man MVP race. I think it's going to get frothy.
But go ahead, Perk.
Hold on, Zach, but don't you just discount Joel Embiid right now, because he has the Philadelphia 76ers
no, he's in it.
At an elite level. And by the way, just a couple of weeks ago, he put up a 40-plus point night too now. So Jokic is just behind him right now and doing it at a later time. But But we're not going to just say that Jokic is the clear-cut Zach Lowe, all right? We're not going to start that today.
It's going to be a great race, Perk. It's going to be a great race with lots of ups and downs. But right now, if you ask me to vote, if I had to fill out my ballot now, I'm putting Jokic 1. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because guess what? We don't want you to vote because you voted for Giannis last year when Rachel and I was trying to tell you.
No. I voted for Giannis as well. I voted for Giannis as well, Perk. And it was close, but I will say, as I've said a million times, it is an award that right now rewards stats in a regular season. Giannis had historic stats, but it is time to change the MVP. I got to get that in one more time because, Perk, I am with you on that. It needs to be more about who the best player in the league is, and we need a separate award for best stats for this season. Now that we've just put all of that to bed and we've solved everyone's problems, it is time for, oh yes, I can hear it. It's time for Make or Miss.
Make or Miss League.
It's a make or miss league.
Make. Miss.
It's a make or miss league.
I've heard that somewhere before. Make contact, Magic Raptors. Watch Aaron Gordon and Kyle Lowry. So Lowry takes a shot. Next trip down, Gordon gives him that little crack back block.
Oh.
Now, remember, these two got into it in the bubble. This was back in August. So are we going back to 90s basketball, Perk, where we got some retribution here and there?
Well, you know, I always like a little beef and a little chitter-chatter here and there, but I think it's time for us to see a little Nate Robinson and Jake Paul little boxing expedition. Let's get it together. Let's set it up. Aaron Gordon and Kyle Lowry. I know they're in different weight classes, but hey, if they got this much beef and they keep carrying on, then it's time for them to put the boxing gloves on, Rachel.
This matchup's Kawhi going baseline. And look at this. He's going to pack it in over R.J. Barrett. Zach, could R.J. have done anything differently?
Don't give even an inch on the baseline and pray. But I will say, R.J. Barrett defended Kawhi decently in that game.
Yes.
And R.J. Barrett's coming along. The defense, the playmaking, he's been a really stout defender for them. But on that play, you give Kawhi an inch and it's done. Just get out of his way or pray to the basketball gods.
I think it's Kawhi, right, Perk?
Yeah, it is. We just call that daddy ball. That's daddy ball. It's nothing that he could do besides just go get in the weight room the next morning.
Make repetition. Let's move on to Boston. Fourth quarter, LeBron getting Tice on the switch and jab steps him to death. How many jabs do you count here, Perk? 1, 2, 3,
See?
4, 5, 6.
Rachel, that's drill work right there. That's when you be jabbing at the cone and you jabbing right, jabbing left, and just getting the separation. LeBron James knew the whole time that he was going 5 for 3. He just wanted to play with Daniel Tice to get his rhythm and to make sure he could get up his shot.
1.
It's a nice aerobics video right
2.
there. Stretching, lunging, stretching, lunging.
It's amazing. And there you go. Boom. All right, Miss Lasers. Nets whiz. KD drives in and dunks over Davis Bertans here, Zach. I mean, this is just a business decision, right?
I don't even know what that is. If that's a business decision, that's the worst business decision I've ever seen. The whole point of it is get out of the way. You don't get in the way and then try to duck out of the way. That is a horrible business decision. He needs Davis Bertans to get to business decision school because that was bad. That's the worst of both worlds. You try to take a business decision and you fail and get dunked on.
Well, I mean, look, the fact that Kevin Durant is playing at this level and dunking on people after tearing his Achilles, it's just insane. A beautiful thing to see here.
So amazing. And now we've learned from this clip, Davis Bertans, apparently, according to Zach, did not go to Wharton. All right, make chemistry. Back to Beantown. Jason Tatum saving the ball. Dimes up the Time Lord. Woo! Perk.
Woo!
Mike Breen called this the play of the year. Do you buy that? This is amazing.
Yes, it is. I mean, look, the pass was on time, on target. The save was phenomenal. Jason Tatum is just an elite player, but shout out to Time Lord because he's been playing great, running the floor. And just look at that, Rachel. That is not easy.
No.
And Time Lord didn't even have to break stride. He didn't have to reach for it. Right in his pocket. That looked like a Tom Brady to Mike Evans, just right in the pocket, ready for the touchdown.
Can I tell you what's great about that and plays like that this season? It's the only good thing about the pandemic is that I don't have to worry about Jason Tatum crashing into the crowd or a broadcast table or knocking over a beer. He's safe.
He can just go at it. All right, time to run it back to the best behind the back dimes of all time. Number 5, 97, Nick the Quick. Woo, to Eldon Campbell. Take a look at that.
Oh, Nick the Quick.
We don't give Nick enough credit, man.
Beautiful.
Nick was so underrated, and we don't value him enough.
Number
he
4,
was great.
Steph to KD, 2019. Look at this one, guys.
Look at that. That's a nice one. Perfectly on target again.
Woo.
On target. But look, anytime you see Steph Curry dropping dimes, it's always fun to watch.
Woo. There we go. Number 3, 2000, Jason Williams to Chris Webber.
White
Anytime you
chocolate.
see Jason Williams dropping dimes, that is fun to watch, Perk.
I'm telling you, look, one of the best passes the game has ever saw. And look at just the finesse with it. Just Rachel, he knew it. The right pass on time, on target again.
Number 2, 2002, Peja to Bobby Jackson.
I can't be the only one who sometimes goes down a YouTube rabbit hole of early 2000s Kings. Just hook the early 2000s Kings up to my veins. I want to live in the early 2000s Kings.
So do current Kings fans, so it's amazing. Number 1, 89, Charles Barkley.
Chuck.
Right?
Oh,
Charles Barkley.
through
Get it
traffic,
done.
though. Through traffic.
Look
that
at
was
that.
A good point right there. That was beautiful. I
Is
didn't
that
know.
Is that Mike Jaminski finishing that?
It
Wow,
is
all right,
Mike
so
Jaminski.
Perk, remember
Who
the
was
time
that?
you dimed up
Oh
Kobe?
no! Oh no! Oh
We were going to put this on the list, but he wasn't your teammate, Perk, so no, too
who
soon.
did that, Rachel? Who idea was that? Was that Danny?
You know
I need to know.
that one, so come hang out. All right, Klay Thompson doing some guest announcing this past weekend for the Warriors. This was so good. Take a listen.
Check. Oh, Mike works. Mike's hot. Man, I'm good. You're on, bro. I didn't want to do it, but then I saw this backdrop, and someone went through great lengths to make that happen, so I felt bad not fulfilling my end of the deal. Oh, my goodness. Steph makes this. How much longer until you break Ray Allen's three-point record?
I mean, you're in the booth right now, so it's your job to know these stats to be able to do the quick math.
Bob, I don't know. What do you think? 40 games?
He's 400
Oh,
behind Klay.
Shoot. 2 seasons.
I'm waiting for you to say Speed Mihaluk right now.
Speed Mihaluk with the long loaf.
Shortbread and long loaf, Klay. You may have added to the play-by-play.
Watch this. Watch this. Easy now.
Shortbread.
He catched it.
What's McGruder doing over there? Is a little scuffle happening?
I'm talking about one.
Rodney McGruder.
Oh, no, this dude might be out the league soon. He's probably mad about that. Who knows?
Wow. Shots fired.
He's over here checking my guy. You good?
5
He's over here
Warriors.
trying to start something like he's a good player or something. It's like, bro,
Easy.
get out of here. You might be. Sorry. All right, we're done.
Easy.
We're done.
Amazing. Welcome back to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, still hanging out with Kendrick Perkins, Zach Lowe. First of all, I would just like to point out when we saw Klay interviewing Steph there, see, it's not so easy to do that job, Klay, okay? He was looking down at his notes. He didn't have the right numbers. I'm just saying. I will say, however, he completely redeemed himself with the colorful way that he described Rodney McGruder on that Warriors broadcast. That is keeping it real for the fans. And unfortunately for McGruder, Draymond Green also had quite a bit to say about McGruder after the game. Let's roll that as well.
Apparently he was taking up for Wayne Ellington. When the Rodney McGruder become the tough guy of the team? Like, I don't know, man. Everybody in the league tough these days. It's crazy. I've seen a lot of tough guys this year. I don't understand it. And don't nobody do anything. Also, I think it was something that Juan said in the first or second quarter to Wayne Ellington. You ain't got nothing better to do that you still thinking about something from the first or second quarter when you weren't in the game. So apparently, Wayne Ellington must have went over to the bench. I guess he went and told Rodney McGruder because he hadn't been in the game. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's too many tough guys in this league these days for me. but I know ain't nobody scared of no damn Rodney McGruder.
I don't even know what to do with all of this. I saw someone on Twitter afterwards said that should just be Draymond's Hall of Fame speech, and we're done. Zach, whose comments stung more, Clay or Draymond's?
Well, look, this is if this is the price of getting unfiltered Klay Thompson, I'm willing to throw Rodney McGruder under the bus to get unfiltered Klay Thompson. I'm sorry. But I will say, this felt a little bit like bullying to me. Like, Rodney McGruder's just trying to fight and scrap for his NBA career, and Draymond and Klay are Hall of Famers, multi-time All-Stars. He let Rodney McGruder be. We don't need to go off for 5 minutes about. Did you see the Warriors broadcast put down 5 minutes per game in 4 games this season? Even the Warriors broadcast got into bullying Rodney McGruder. Poor guy. My God.
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't applaud it, and I don't like it. To me, Rachel and Zach, I thought this was very corny. When you look at a guy like Rodney McGruder, who was undrafted in 2013, who's been fighting his way, went down to the G League, and is still on the roster here today in the year 2021, a guy that has to fight every single offseason, going to training camp and prove himself. And we all know how hard it is just to get to the NBA. It's even harder to stay in the NBA. And they have a 15 or 14 guy on every roster that fights for their position and be that guy on the bench. All he was doing was standing up for his teammates. And I love Klay, but he didn't. I can't roll with him on this statement that just wasn't right. As far as Draymond talking about a lot of tough guys in the league, I love Draymond, but he talked just as much as anybody. And nobody really is doing nothing outside of talking, because Draymond is not doing anything to nobody. When he sees somebody outside in the offseason, outside the court when the season is over, because I could recall the incident where Tristan Thompson had addressed him and he copped the plea. So at the end of the day, look, I don't agree with Klay's statement. I know it was good. It was funny at the time. But a guy like Rodney McGruder, who's actually fighting for his job year after year after year, and is still surviving in the league. They have a lot of guys that are on rosters like that, and I just can't roll with that statement.
Well, I respect all of that, and I do think that's important. But also, this is an issue that Rodney McGruder came over. He went toward the Warriors tunnel. In fact, there were reports afterward that the league was going to look into that because it violates some of the protocols that they have set up. And we have a league where people are constantly saying, oh, I wish it had the toughness. I wish we had the toughness of the old days in the 90s in the NBA. I'm not sure that anything that was said on the broadcast or in the post-game press conference rises to the level of sort of the back and forths and the beefs and the stuff that we saw in the old school NBA. So I don't know, sticks and stones on the words to me. And I mean, now we're going to watch the next Warriors-Pistons game whenever that happens, I guess, next season. So we'll have something to talk about. Here's what The Jump recommends for today. ESPN.com's latest power rankings are out, guys. There's a new number one, the LA Clippers. We'll talk about them next. So check. ESPN NBA power rankings just dropped on the app. The Clippers are at the top, followed by the Lakers, Sixers, Jazz, and Nuggets. So, Perk, do you think these power rankings are accurate? Are the Clippers playing the best basketball in the league right now?
They are playing some of the best basketball, Rachel, but I still get a slight edge to Philly. But I tell you what, the Clippers are on a mission, and everyone, including myself, talked about how they didn't do well in the offseason. But guess what? Nicholas Batum has been an unsung hero. Paul George is playing some of the best basketball of his career. He's bounced back after the horrible postseason that he had. Kawhi has been Kawhi. Reggie Jackson has stepped up tremendously. And great job by Ty Lue, because these guys have bought in. They're sharing the ball. They're competing at a high level on the defensive end, and you can feel the energy. And most importantly, the thing that I've witnessed is Kawhi is starting to be more vocal. He's starting to be a better leader. I'm watching him interact with guys and talk with guys and trust guys. So the Clippers are dangerous. And guess what? If I'm the Lakers, I'm keeping a close eye on them, because they will possibly have to see them in the Western Conference, and it won't be a cakewalk, or the Clippers could possibly beat the Lakers if the Lakers are not careful.
Boy, oh boy, the Utah Jazz lose one game to the modern-day Arvydas Sabonis, and they're not even in the conversation for who's playing the best. The Jazz are playing the best basketball right now. They just had an 11-game winning streak. But in reality, Clippers, Lakers, Jazz.
Wait a minute. Weren't the Jazz number 2 in those power rankings, Zach? How can you say they're not in the conversation? They were number 2.
They were 4. They were 4. You're asking me who's playing the best right now? The team that just had an 11-game winning streak that blew everybody away.
But
the Clippers, the Clippers are also the Clippers are also blowing people away. I mean, they killed the Kings twice. They killed the Pacers, the Magic. They are running roughshod over teams. And yeah, they look every bit the title contender that we thought they were. I picked them to win the title last year. I was wrong. I think this team has enormous potential. And Paul George is having his vengeance tour just like he said he would. And Kawhi looks like Kawhi. So the Clippers have to be really, really encouraged by how they're playing, how they've taken to some of the adjustments that Ty Lue has made to their style and their rotation. They look really, really good.
Well, look, I like what you said, Perk, about sharing the ball. Just from the eye test, watching the way they play those hockey assists.